Hello everybody, welcome back to class. Today is Friday, February 20th. This is being recorded a few days before this class session starts. So if you're still working on class session 6, relax. You still have until February 20th to finish that session. So this recording kicks off session 7, which begins on Monday, February 23rd. I also want to say hello to the students in Mike Cooney's class that might also be watching this video. Mike and I teach the class pretty much the same, although there are a few differences. So if you ever find a disagreement between my instructions and Mike's, and you're in Mike's class, of course, go with what he says. Let's take a look at what we'll be doing for this class session. I'm in Blackboard now, and we're going to jump into the session folder and take a look at what we have. The good news in this session is there's no reading, at least not reading in the textbook. There's still a lot of reading to do, but you don't have to read your text this time, unless you really want to. Here's the session overview, the objectives and the content. I know you'll read those later. And what I want to do now is take a look at the learning activities and the assignments and the assessments. We're going to finish off writing project 2, the analysis, steps 7 through 10. And I'll mention this when we get to that part. I'm not going to have you do every single step in here, so pay attention. We're going to finish off the peer response feedback. We'll look at writing project 3. That's our next writing project. And there are 2 supplemental resources, the library tutorial on selecting a topic and a library tutorial on finding images. As I've mentioned in other class sessions, these are optional. However, I think for writing project 3, these are worth taking a look at. 2 assignments and assessments. Session 7 and Session 8 discussion. Every picture tells a story. We'll discuss that further. And finalizing your writing project number 2 and turning it in. I want to point out one thing. Notice that writing project 2 is worth 120 points for your final version. The first writing project was only worth 85 points. And after those grades were submitted, I had a conversation with a student, I won't mention their name, I don't want to embarrass them, that was asking why they got the grade that they did, and saw that this student, and I don't remember the exact grade, it was like an 81 or an 82, they were concerned that they had gotten a B on the writing project, not realizing that the total points available was only 85. And I had to tell them that actually they did quite well on it. So my point is, always check to see how many points are available when you see your grade. It'll tell you how you did. Let's take a look at the learning activities. And again, this is for the session that starts on Monday, February 23rd. This is finalizing writing project number 2. Here are the instructions for writing project 2. By now, you've already completed steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're only concerned today with writing project steps 7 through 10. In this session, you're going to conduct peer response. Many of you have started this already in class session 6. And you're going to use this peer response when you finalize your draft. The point of this is to help you make your draft as good as possible during the revision process. Now notice in step 8, it asks you to submit your final draft and a cover letter. The cover letter is designed to give you a forum to explain how you used the feedback that you received in the peer review. And you also received a review from me. For this project, I'm not going to have you turn this in, so don't do the cover letter. When you turn in your final draft, you're going to turn it into two places, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But the cover letter, you can skip that. You will want to look at Chapter 19 in Writing 10 Core Concepts for advice on how to strengthen your voice, and then you're going to turn it in. Again, we're only using MLA style, and everyone is doing well with that. You do not need to include the cover letter when you turn it in. Project 2, Peer Response Feedback. Let's take a look at one of these. Here's the discussion board. Many students are in this and have posted their first draft and gotten some responses. Let's take a look at one of those. We'll take a look at Brandy Ashley's writing project. Here's the document. Brandy, of course, includes a situational analysis. It's a little brief, but she hits all the right points. And notice that Brandy did not put the header that she has on the actual essay on the situational analysis page. You don't need it there. It does have her name, which is important, and the page number, but the header is on the essay. This is where I want to see it. I know that some students have put this on the situational analysis out of an abundance of caution, and I tried to tell you in your comments from me on the draft that you don't need it there. Just put it on the paper. And Brandy has formatted this exactly right. That's the way it should look. Last name and page number, and then this information. Make sure when you turn in your final version that you change your date. This is the date that the draft was due, but when you turn in your final essay, this should read 22 February 2015. The title is Properly Done, and here's the balance of the essay. I want to point something out in looking at this essay, and I try to remind students of this as much as possible. The last step before you turn in any writing project is always to have your draft open and use the F7 key on your keyboard. Because F7 is not just spell check, it's spell and grammar check. And it will catch mistakes that you might have made throughout. For example, Brandy has the word affects in this sentence when she meant to say effects. So she could change it here. That's something, if you were proofreading your own paper, you might not catch, but F7 will catch that for you. All right, I'm done picking on Brandy. And here's her works cited page. Needs to be moved up a little bit, but overall, it's, for the most part, fairly complete. Let's take a look at what Amanda had to say about Brandy's writing. And she has chosen to attach her comments as an additional page to the bottom of the original submission. And here Amanda has 4 points of comments, A, B, E, and F. Little typo there, but we won't beat up on her too much. That's okay. And I think this feedback is well done. So Brandy could take a look at these comments and use this to improve her final version. Notice she says, I believe when you write the title of an article, it's supposed to be in quotation marks, not italicized. That's exactly right. We don't have to beat up on Brandy for that mistake. It's only a draft. But when she turns in the final version, of course, she'll correct that, and all will be well. Let's go back to class sessions. I think we've covered the learning activities. Oh, Project 3. No, we haven't. Writing Project 3 is the informative essay. You're not actually going to begin the informative essay yet, but we're going to start thinking about it. This document should look very familiar. For writing Project 3, you're going to write about a problem or an issue you care about. Go ahead and read the rest of this. Steps 1 through 6. I'm going to jump out of this document for just a moment and take you back to class sessions because I want to open up another document related to writing Project 3. Here it is. This is the discussion board for session 7, which is the session that begins on the 23rd, and session 8. And these discussions are entitled Every Picture Tells a Story. Your first post is going to be a brainstorming activity. You're going to think about an issue or a cause that interests you, briefly describe what that issue or cause is, and then find 3 images, pictures, YouTube videos, vines, whatever you'd like, that take a stance or a side about that issue. When you get to the discussion board, you're going to copy and paste those images or videos or vines into the discussion board so everyone else can see them. Notice that it asks you to write about 200 words in the discussion board. Those 200 words will be 2 to 3 sentences describing the issue or the problem that interests you, and then descriptions of the 3 images. Now, if you're going to write about, just to pick a topic, recycling, and you include an image of a recycling bin, you don't need to describe the recycling bin because it's self-evident. What you want to do is say why this image is important to your issue. Why did you pick it? As it says down here, describe why you selected it and how it illustrates an aspect of the problem or the controversy. In other words, what does this image mean to the subject you intend to explore? So the 200 words will come from the 2 to 3 sentences describing the problem, and the rest will come from you describing why you picked the images or the videos or the vines that you did. And that will be in discussions. I don't think anyone has gotten this far yet. you'll be putting them right here. Again, as always, when you're ready, hit Create Thread, write 200 words, and include as attachments the videos, the images that you're going to be using. Speaking of discussions, I think it's worth mentioning these were very entertaining. Apparently, a lot of people have experiences or can imagine experiences related to teenagers telling their parents about wild parties or getting stopped by the police, or both, but I really enjoyed reading these. So for this week, we're going to begin writing Project 3 with the discussion board and writing an initial post of 200 words, including 3 images. And we're going to finalize writing Project 2. You're going to submit your assignment in 2 places. As I mentioned before, the last thing you're going to do is hit F7, spell and grammar check, and then you're going to place the assignment here and here. Doesn't really matter where you keep your assignments, whether you have them on a flash drive, whether you have them on your hard drive, whether you have them in the cloud, doesn't matter. Notice again that the assignment is worth 120 points. Hit Browse My Computer to find the file. You can type a comment if you'd like. Can't spell my own name. And hit Submit. That is the version of the document that pops up for me in Grade Center. Then you're also going to add it to Turnitin for analysis. When I read the first writing project, I did see a few submissions that were not properly cited. In other words, the writer included content from somewhere or someone else and didn't attribute it to them. If that was the case, I would tell the student, you need to be more careful next time, but I didn't grade it too severely because it was the first assignment. Now that we're in the second assignment, I'm going to look at this more closely. If something's in your paper and it didn't come from you, you need to tell me where it came from. So I'll be looking at this even more than I did the first time. We're going a little bit out of order this time. I think we've covered all the assignments and the assessments for this session, the discussion board, and turning in your final draft. So let's take a look at the learning activities and make sure we've covered all of those. Writing Project 2, Analysis, Steps 7 through 10. Again, do not include the cover letter, even though the instructions ask you to do so. I'm not requiring it for this project. Peer response feedback. Most of you have finished this or have gotten a very good start, and there's some good advice there. Project description. I opened that earlier. That's the instructions for writing Project 3, steps 1 through 6 only. If you're struggling to find a topic or you're struggling to find images related to your topic, go ahead and take a look at these 2 supplemental resources. The library tutorial on selecting a topic. It's a video. It's not very long, and it's actually quite good. If you need some inspiration, start here. And then there's a second tutorial on finding images. Again, it's a video. All you have to do is watch. If you need some inspiration, good place to go. As always, I recommend you print these out. This will give you some step-by-step guidance on what you'll be completing for Writing Project 3. Notice as we move along throughout the class, the writing projects get a little longer and a little longer. So your first draft, you're not to that yet, your first draft will be 1,000 words. But for now, we're going to confine ourselves to the discussion board. Picking a topic, or at least exploring a topic, and finding some images that are related to it. If you pick a topic for this project and you later decide it wasn't the right fit, you absolutely can change it. Don't feel obligated to continue with the subject that you put on the discussion board if it's not the right fit for you. That's okay. You can bail out on this one if you choose. Still means you have to do it. I'm just simply saying you can change your mind later. The learning activities we talked about: Writing Project 2, Analysis, Steps 7 through 10. That's the discussion board with the peer feedback. You also got feedback from me on how to improve your draft. You did your own peer response feedback, or you will have done your own peer response feedback. You're going to start the discussion board on Writing Project 3, including 3 images, videos, vines, something else related to your topic. If you have trouble thinking of a topic, you can check out the library tutorial. If you have trouble finding images, aside from simply Googling your topic and clicking on the Images tab, that's a good way too, you can watch this library tutorial. You'll begin Session 7 and Session 8, Every Picture Tells a Story, with your initial post. Those will be graded later. And you're turning in your final draft of Writing Project 2 in 2 places, in Blackboard and at turnitin.com. Or using the link for Turnitin, I should say. Let's take one more look and make sure that we've covered everything. We've discussed those. And we've discussed these. Again, turn it in 2 places, one here and one here. And that's it for the week. That looks pretty manageable. As always, folks, I look forward to hearing from you. Again, the people who communicate with me the most do the best. If you want to send me an email, it's mstenger1@ivtech.edu or mstenger@metlife.com. Metlife is METLIFE. My text number is 812-498-4200. My phone number is 800-416-1747. Reach out to me anytime. Have a good week, everybody. Stay warm. On behalf of myself and Mike Cooney, hope everybody has a great week.